could have the Town of East Fishkill Planning Board meeting come to order. Could I have a roll call?
John Hutzko.
Steve Caswell.
Michael O'Brien.
Lori G.
John Cutler.
Teresa Golden.
Bob Wilbar.
Great, thank you. And if everyone would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have two members absent this evening, so both of our alternates are seated this evening. And we have two upcoming meeting dates, one on October 6th and one on October 20th. We have one meeting minutes for approval. Bear with me. So John, Craig, Steve, Bob, and Teresa were here for the meeting, as well as myself, for the meeting on July 21st. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody abstaining?
Aye.
Mike's abstaining. Okay, great. And the first item on our agenda tonight is a decision for Beekman Golf, two-lot subdivision on Country Club Road. I know we told the applicant that he didn't need to be here this evening for this. Do we have any updates or any changes to the plan since we saw it last?
I think so, no.
Okay. Any questions or comments from planning board members?
No.
All right, so I have a negative declaration here dated September 15th for an unlisted action under seeker for the Beekman Golf two-lot subdivision, for which a short form EAF was reviewed. During that review, because it's a simple subdivision, we had no environmental issues identified that needed to be reviewed or discussed. So do I have a motion to accept the negative declaration?
So moved.
Second.
And have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries, so the negative declaration is approved. And do I have someone who can offer the resolution?
Sure. Resolution of minor subdivision approval pursuant to 163-7 of the Town Code. Name of the applicant is Beekman Golf Club, LLC. Name of the subdivision is Beekman Golf, two-lot subdivision. Location is 11 Country Club Road, parcel number 655803492286. Resolution offered by Planning Board member Michael O'Brien. Whereas the applicant has purpose to divide a 52.837 plus or minus acre parcel into two lots of 44.837 acres and one of 8 acres, and whereas no other lots are proposed or approved at this time, and whereas this action qualifies as a minor subdivision for which no public hearing is required, and whereas this board adopted a negative declaration on September 15, 2015, and whereas all requirements have been met, now therefore be it resolved that minor subdivision approval is granted to divide the subject parcel into two lots, one of approximately 44.837 acres and one of 8 acres as shown on a map prepared by Chazen Engineering entitled Conceptual Future Build-Out Plan, dated March 19, 2015, last revised August 28, 2015, and be it further resolved that this approval is subject to the following conditions. 1, no re-subdivision of either of these parcels as a minor subdivision may be considered for 5 years. 2, subject to the comments in the following consultant letters. Morris Associates dated August 10th, 2015. B, AKRF planners dated August 6, 2015. 3, a subdivision map in the format as required by the Town Code with the Dutchess County Department of Health. Sign-off will be presented for signature. 4, since the map does not set aside any land for recreation, a rec fee in the sum of $6,000 will be paid within 30 days thereof.
Okay, and Mike, if we can just make one adjustment to the first condition, I'd like to add a sentence that just says, and Michelle, just make sure this sounds right to you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Any future subdivision must comply with the zoning laws and regulation in place at the time of such request. Is that all right? Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other adjustments or updates to the resolution?
When Michael was reading, it said, no other within 5 years, no other minor subdivision. Should we remove the word minor?
I think they could only have a minor subdivision because they could never get more than 4 lots off of this. And it has
What
to
about on the 44-acre parcel?
Yeah. even though it's supposed to be a golf
Or
course
or is
forever.
that subject to a conservation easement? I'm sorry, Pam, I'm looking at you.
I think that's restricted to golf course.
Okay, so the golf course parcel itself
Okay,
can't be
then
further
we're all right.
subdivided?
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No, it's a good question,
That was a
thanks.
good question.
Okay. Any other changes or updates? And Brendan, you didn't have a letter for this one, right? There was no traffic impact with this subject? Okay. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the planning board shall cause a copy of this resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by John, and votes as follows. Steve?
Aye.
John Cutler?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
John Hutzko?
Hutsko, H-U-T-S-K-O, aye.
I said it right, you're right, it's
said it
misspelled. We'll
right.
fix it, thank you. Teresa?
Aye.
Sorry, bear with me. And Bob?
Yep.
And myself, aye. The motion carries.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing for Lehigh Lawns and Landscaping 2, site plan on Sprout Creek Court. Pam, do we have everything we need to open the public hearing? Okay. So while we're getting set up, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Day, representing Lehigh Lawns and Landscaping 2. This property is at about 2.1 acres. It's on Sprout Creek Court. It's directly across from the existing Lehigh Landscaping commercial site. I have to stand here. So what Alan has done is purchased, or is in contract, I should say, to buy this property, and he's going to take some of the equipment and storage on the site across the street, which is located roughly here. He's going to be putting it on this site. We're going to be putting a fence around it. This is the limits of the adjacent area. We have sent a copy of the plan to the DEC to get this verified, and once we should have that back, I would think within a couple of weeks. We're proposing a salt shed right here. We're proposing a 50 by 50 asphalt loading area. We are proposing also a floodlight here to light this area, as most of the, I shouldn't say most, some of the salt activity will occur at night as they work pretty much through the night during snowstorms. We're proposing a gate down here. We're not proposing any permanent structures that would require restrooms or a well. And we are proposing some landscaping between the property line and the fence. There is a sign proposed right in this area. And generally, that's it.
Okay. The sign will be on the fence, or it'll be a separate standing?
I believe it's a freestanding, but it will be in front of the sign,
Okay.
parallel to the sign, or to the fence, excuse me.
Okay. And you mentioned there's going to be a floodlight on the corner of the building. Is that like a motion-sensitive floodlight, or what?
Yeah, it's
'Cause
going
I'm
to be...
assuming there's going to be times where you need to run it in the middle of the night, right?
Right, so I don't know if it'd be switch operated or infrared. Yeah, motion detector probably.
Okay.
'Cause as you get on the pad, it's going to,
Okay.
it'll sense motion.
Okay.
The balance of this is parking. It's hard to see here, but we're proposing stacked parking for times when he's not using his vehicle.
And that's gravel?
Correct.
Are there any trees being removed?
No, there's none there.
All already cleared, or already
Yeah, I
gravel?
think it's pretty much meadow right now.
Okay. All right. Mark, I have a couple of notes here. I think, and Michelle, I'm not sure if we answered this question or not, but it looked like the original plan showed a sort of a roof constructed building, but I
Right.
think we have pictures where it looks more of like, I'll call it like a hoop house building.
It is an arch. I have a photo
Okay.
on the... Yeah, it's actually, I assumed he was using when we gave the first presentation, or the one that was first presented on the plan, we thought it was a new structure. But
Okay.
I've since found out that it's actually an existing structure that will be relocated from, excuse me, LaGrange. This is it. These are mafia block, for lack of a better term. We're not doing that in East Fishkill, but we will be using this structure, which is a vinyl structure. We're going to be pouring new concrete walls, concrete foundation, concrete slab, and we are putting a lip across it, across this area here to
Okay.
prevent.
To help with spills or whatever?
Right.
Okay. Have you been to the ARB?
Yes. ARB is,
Do we have ARB approval, or are they still in front of the ARB?
no, we were done.
You're done, meaning you have ARB approval? Or?
Whatever the ARB grants, they said we didn't have to come back, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we only have something here.
I only have FAB notes, I don't have ARB
Oh,
notes.
okay,
So
RBA.
So
Okay, so-
they told you not to come back, or they said you didn't have to come back?
I don't know.
There's a difference.
Probably both.
Do you have a separate copy of the building? Because the building is part of our public hearing as well. Do you have a
Oh,
picture
I'm
that we can
sorry,
put
on
up?
here?
Yeah,
I
if you
don't.
do, or if we can kind of switch them back and forth as we go
Yeah, I just
through
have that
this.
photo. pardon
That's
me.
fine. That's fine, as long as we've got it for the public to be able to see. Yeah, let's put it back up for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's
And then-
basically a aluminum frame with a green vinyl cover.
Is it green or is it blue?
I don't know.
It's blue in the photo.
It's green, it's just a tough,
Okay,
it's a
that's fine.
light.
If I could,
Mark, how do you close the front off?
You don't, because what happens is when a dump truck has to come in and lift, he has to be inside the lift.
Don't you worry about, like, a rainstorm like we had the other day with wind blowing into that? And
Well, that's
some
why
of the
we're
salt?
gonna put the lip in there so that any water in there isn't able to wash back out. So it's something that has to be monitored, though.
Okay, I'm just, because I had this picture on mine, some kind of front to it.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure how that was gonna work
The
either.
problem you have, though, if you get in there to dump the truck, you have to be inside to do it. Otherwise, you're gonna have salt out front.
Right.
And this way, you have to actually back in, lift your bed, and then drop and go. So it's difficult to put a
So
front
the
end
rear
on it.
has a vinyl closure on it, but the
Right.
front is open?
Yeah, there is. You
Okay.
can see the back of it. That's actually a vinyl closure.
And it looks like roughly the front third doesn't typically have salt. Is that showing it full, or would it be more full?
That's probably full, right?
Yeah, the salt's
Yeah.
all the way out to the lip in the front.
No, that's back, I think, when I was out there, it's
I
back,
thought I could see
that's
the
back
bottom
a
of the
couple
blocks.
feet.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see,
side.
there's a little bit of, you can see the reveal here, you can see the reveal here. I mean, there's the front of the block. It goes back a ways.
Okay?
Okay. But that's what it would look like roughly when it's full, or does it come out further than that?
No, that's
about full?
That's full.
Okay.
That's capacity for it.
Okay.
What's the lifespan of the vinyl?
I mean, the manufacturer spec, so, anything 25 to 30 years. They used to be attacked by PVC, but they've changed, chemically to actually, they last a good long time now.
Okay, good.
And I think, Mark, at our last discussion, you were doing some sort of surfacing on the floor of the building?
Yes, and I did.
Is that still?
We're going to use an epoxy, and I forgot to submit the cut
Okay.
sheet with that.
Okay. Just as long as we can have some detail on that. And then,
Okay.
Michelle, I know that I think we had some initial comments from the DEC. Have we had any update on the verification of the wetland boundary and the shed itself?
Yeah, I actually spoke with DEC, and one of the issues, if you recall, was that the previous plan had a detail that showed a slightly different structure, and we weren't sure whether or not this was actually the structure that was circulated to DEC. Well, I made sure that they got the updated plan, and he actually sent an email immediately saying that it did not change any of his comments.
Okay,
So
good.
we're all set on that. And then the other issue, it was just that the DEC needed to confirm the wetland boundary, and I'm not sure if you've got any more feedback on whether or not they'll actually come out and do a
They
physical
did.
site visit, or if they're just going to do it by,
They actually did it
Oh,
with
they
Mike
did it.
Nowicki.
Okay,
So what Mike had asked that we prepare, we put the certification block on, and we sent the copies to Heather.
Okay, great.
So we're waiting for her to sign.
and you know that there was no changes to the line at all? They took the
That's-
same line? Okay,
So we've been
great.
told, so.
Okay. And so, Mark, just to make sure for our record, the salt shed itself, as well as the 50-foot pad, is outside of the buffer?
All right, yeah, it is.
And about how many feet for the shed and the pad?
You're probably an additional, what am I, 40? So you're about 30 feet from the adjacent area,
Okay.
this area here. So we're 30 feet, and then the asphalt's probably about 25 feet.
Okay. And the assumption would be that if salt spills, it's going to be on the asphalt pad and eventually swept back into the building or
Correct.
moved back in? Okay. All right.
And one thing I do want to point out, we submitted the salt that Alan uses. I don't know if you guys saw that sheet. It was back a while ago. It's not the same rock salt that you see the municipality use. This is a treated salt. It's a different, it's, let's say, more environmentally friendly. It's not standard rock salt mixed with sand. Okay. There is an MSDS sheet. I think we gave it.
Okay.
You might want to take a look at it, and I know that, as I was told, there's no guarantee he will use it, but that's what he typically uses. Because remember, he works for people who pay him, unlike the town, he's got customers, he's got to make sure they're very happy, so
Okay.
that's one of the reasons why he uses that salt,
Okay.
so.
All right. Michelle, or Joe, did we look at the MS4 yet to see what the,
Yeah,
I don't know whether it would be the statistics or whatever the information is on the salt?
There was, Mark's right, that it was an MSDS that described what it's made of, and it seemed to say it was more environmentally friendly.
Okay.
I don't quite remember the constituents, but it backed up what they were saying. I think it's called magic salt or something.
It's magic. No snow,
Okay.
doesn't kill anybody. Nobody gets sodium poisoning.
Okay. All right. So, Michelle, are we still waiting then for the aside from the wetland boundary, are we waiting on anything from the DEC? And did they have any other comments that we need to address as far as
They
this
got
plan
back,
goes?
they did not, they had no issue with you being lead agency, and they sent their comments via the letter that we received, and he said he had no additional comments after that.
And did I make a mistake? Should we have done the motion to be lead agents, or are we still running on the time clock for that?
You're fine, you can do the motion when you're done with the discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Help me remember that, please, somebody. Okay, any questions or comments, other questions or comments from board members?
Yeah, excuse me, Joe, your memo said that there was an issue with the vinyl roof, and it said it's partially closed. What's the deal? Is this, there are two partial?
Yeah. Partially protected from the elements. Well, it's like the picture shows. There may be part of the sides and the front that you don't have covered because the truck has to access that part. So, and because that side is open, I just meant wind or rain could be driven into that side. But
Okay.
since they did add the lip, I think it's typical for a salt shed.
Then you also had the issue about the backups. You were looking for a list of vehicles.
Yeah, Mark already had a note saying they would provide some noise reducing or minimize the noise from backup alarms by putting in certain equipment, and that would be more the equipment that's like dedicated to operate there full time.
Are there any houses in earshot there?
Closest I would think is a daycare out on 376.
Nobody lives there, do they?
No, I don't think so.
And you guys are generally, when you're doing this activity, for the most part, this is going to be like 3, 4 in the morning, right?
They're gonna, again, depends on the
24
storm,
hours
but
a day.
it could be at night.
The peak period, so, all right.
Yeah, it could be.
So you're good. Those are not partial closes? They're,
No, the roof seems fine. I mean, we didn't have the picture, but what I was saying was because of the space that the truck needs to back in, part of the roof wouldn't be covering the whole area of the shed, and the one side would be open, but that's typical.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments from planning board members? Brendan, any comments we should go over before we open for public comment?
The two comments that we had were addressed, one related to the operation of the gate at Sprout Creek, with the potential of vehicles maybe needing to stop on
Michelle,
Sprout
can you just
Creek.
turn the mic a little bit? It's hard to hear, Brendan.
On Sprout Creek to open and close the gate, but we're satisfied with the answer that the traffic on Sprout Creek is pretty limited, so we don't feel like that would have any interference with traffic. We did ask them to extend the apron to beyond the gate, which they did do too. So those are our remaining comments, and we're both satisfied with those.
Okay. All right. Michelle, how about from planning?
No other comments.
Okay. Joe, anything from engineering?
One other item, we mentioned the paving thickness at the entrance.
To match the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically match the road. It might be as much as 6 inches, but whatever's there should be sufficient.
Do you know it's there?
No.
We'll match what's there.
Okay. All right. Then we're open, actually, before we open for public comment, can I have a motion for the planning board to act as lead agent for this application?
So moved?
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak for or against the Lehigh Lawns and Landscaping 2 site plan on Sprout Creek? Going once?
Twice?
Going twice? Okay. Then, Mark, if you want to come on back up. Sure. Thank you. We didn't have public comment this evening for this application, which is fine. I think, Michelle, do we need to wait for the wetland boundary validation to come back, or are we able to close the public hearing this evening?
We can close the public hearing as long as the applicant's okay that if the DEC changes the line in any way and that we end up having to modify the site
Sure.
plan in any way, then we would have to, of course, reopen.
Okay, so Mark, there were just a couple minor adjustments, it sounds like we talked about
Yep.
this evening to make to the plan, but nothing that is significant to the overall appearance. Does anybody on the board have any objection to closing the public hearing tonight? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
And a second, all in favor? Aye. And Mark, let's put you on for decision. Oh, do I have agendas, Pam?
Yes.
I'm not seeing it. October 1, we're still open on October 1. Or, sorry, October 1, sorry, October 6th?
That October 6th for decision? Does that work? Pardon me?
I know you have your other application that's also going to need to be on for decision, so if you want to make it October 20th and do them both at the same
No,
time, or?
actually, what Alan's reminding me of, he needs to, the quicker the better, because he needs to get the concrete in for the salt shed.
Okay, our next meeting is October 6th.
Okay.
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 So do I have a motion to put this on for decision
So moved.
on October 6th? I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a discussion for the Kenna Danko lot line realignment on Leetown Road. I think we have, oh, great.
How are you?
Great, how are you doing?
Good. So what we have is a lot realignment to include wrapping around my pool, and I'm swapping off the same amount of property in the back corner to give to Carol C. Danko to make it an even swap.
Okay. And we're just going to, I think we have your plan, we're going to just put it up on the
I
board.
was going to say, your pool looks a lot like a salt shed.
Little bit of difference there, right?
I suppose you could have a saltwater pool, but
You could.
that might be expensive.
Actually, that's the end thing these days.
Is it?
Yep.
Bear with us 1 second, we like to have your plan up on the projector.
Could we have an alarm go off when we finally get this on? Because I think everybody's dozing.
Bear with us. All right, thanks, Michelle. So if you just want to orient us a little bit, your property and,
Right, as you can see, top left-hand corner, that would be us. How does this thing work? Just
press the button.
Gotcha, so right there, we're going to be giving them this piece here, and they're going to be giving us this piece here, go around our pool. And that's the regular line, that's normal. So
okay.
basically, we're trading that for that to compensate the overlap in the pool patio.
So you have an existing encroachment that you're
Exactly.
you're realigning, okay. Do you meet, does the, and I'm sorry, the setback requirement for the pool and deck area, or are you going to meet that now with this realignment?
Well, it's, I believe, 5 feet all the way around, so we will need, I guess, a variance for that. We have to go back to,
So why aren't you just doing a realignment that would allow you to meet the setback requirement, if you're doing the lot line realignment anyway?
well, I think then that would, probably encroach on their property there as far as Board of Health approval and all of that.
I'm not following.
We realigned the property, right, to
Michelle,
go
can
around
you-
the pool because it was encroaching on their property. And
Right,
just
but you're
basically traded
still,
off the same
you're
amount.
not correcting your issue, which is not just the encroachment, but it's that you're not meeting setbacks. So normally, we would expect to see a lot line realignment that allows you to meet code as well as repair the encroachment.
Does a
So
bigger
that's what I'm
piece of
asking. And Michelle, is
property
it
then-
20 feet, 25 feet?
It's 25 feet.
25
for
feet?
a swimming pool.
So you would need 25 feet from the edge of your improvements to be able to meet the setback requirements.
Okay, so,
I have one question. Are you suggesting that a bigger piece of property exchange would then not allow him to meet all the setbacks, that your neighbor?
exactly.
Do you know, can you specify exactly which ones they would be?
No.
Did
Is the
you
X
look
the
at
septic?
trying to meet the setback requirements with this realignment, or no?
I think it would be virtually impossible. Obviously, I could ask my engineer. Maybe he should have been here, huh?
Okay, yeah.
But, this is what we had proposed as a swap to get around the pool, to leave 5 feet around, and then obviously we were to go back and get a variance for that. Originally, I had proposed a garage over here, and that kind of, they shined the light on that, and then we didn't even know that was over, so.
Okay.
So that's what we kind of backed up, to get this rectified and then move forward with what I was looking to do.
So,
Michelle, I guess I'm looking at you. I know Tom wasn't able to be here tonight, but normally we would look to make sure that any lot line realignment would bring the correction, whatever you're doing the lot line realignment for, would correct whatever the issue is. And to me, I can see we're correcting the encroachment, but I don't see us correcting the actual setback.
and I think in some cases, we also approve lot line realignments if it in fact causes a hardship for the neighboring property in any way, because of something that wasn't their fault. And I'm not sure if this jut out into their property and any other configuration of the lot line realignment would create a hardship for the neighboring property owner. Like, in other words, if they were to swap a larger piece of land out, I'm not sure how that would affect the neighboring property owner. I believe they're pretty close to 1 acre on each lot.
Right.
So that.
Right, so there would have to be
may
a
have been difficult-
compensating.
Right, it may have been difficult to
piece.
do that. I just can't tell you one way or the other because I haven't looked at every different scenario for it.
And you said you had an engineer draw the plan for you?
Beatty and Watson did the drawings.
Okay. Did they look at the setback requirements, or did they just?
They looked at everything, they spoke to the Board of Health and went through everything, told them exactly what they were doing, and nothing changed as far as approvals or anything like that. And we have an exact even swap of land, so it keeps the lot the same.
Right.
What's your motivation? Are you getting ready to sell the house? Or-
No, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
But, you know, in shining the light on that encroachment on his property, I had to rectify it, so obviously,
Okay.
we had to back up and do that.
Okay, so like a couple of weeks is not going to kill you to get it redrawn, to see if we can come up with a more optimal and fix more of the setback issues.
Yeah, I could definitely talk to him about it, it's, it's, but I believe that he investigated what the best scenario would be, to swap the same amount of lands, keep the lot the same, keep his lot, the way he wanted it, as far as, all the approvals and setbacks that he needed. It didn't encroach on anything he has already set there, and obviously it gets me around the pool, with 5 feet, so.
And I'm sorry, the line here is, I couldn't tell when I looked at the map.
Right.
Is the actual line that bends out, is that concrete? Is it stone? Is it?
This
what
right
is the
here,
improvement?
this
Yes.
is a concrete patio around my
Okay.
pool.
Okay.
So obviously, he's made the footage around it, enough to work with it. I just made that new point over there to go where it was before on the right side, and on the left side, give him the even amount of property so we were an even swap.
Okay. Thank you.
Michelle, I know one of the other discussions that we had when we looked at this was how to identify not just the lot line, but also the rear yard line. So when we talk about the setback, I just want to clarify that that's a setback only from the lot line itself. So as we look at the lot line, it doesn't matter what the rear yard line would be, it would just be the lot line that we're looking at and making sure it meets the setback requirements, not just cures the encroachment. Okay. Other questions or comments from board members?
I just think we need to figure out whether there's another alternative that adjusts
Okay.
has a different kind of a swap, so that you would meet all the setbacks.
Well, they're saying the setback is 20 feet from the edge of my patio?
No,
25.
25 from the pool.
So where you said you have 5 feet now from the edge of your patio, it should be 25 feet.
Okay.
Actually, it's the pool.
Sorry.
It's because the terrace
pool.
is actually allowed, yeah.
Okay.
So it's the
Okay.
pool that you have to be 25 feet from, okay?
Okay, so,
So it's probably not a huge additional change, but we could change it enough so that, and by we, I mean you could change it enough to meet the setback requirements for those improvements.
So you're saying from this corner of my pool is 25 feet?
From all property line.
Right, so that's the worst.
So your rear property line right now has, so
Area.
you basically just draw sort of like a 25-foot boundary, and your property line shouldn't touch that or cross it.
Okay.
And Michelle, for the deck area, the concrete patio area, what's the setback requirement for that?
It is 15 feet, I believe. yeah.
15 feet?
I could consider it a terrace, yeah.
Okay. So in addition to the 25-foot setback required for the pool, the concrete that you have beyond the pool needs a 15-foot setback.
Right, and right now,
It's only 5.
from there to there is 14 feet, 14 and 7, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
From there to the edge of the pool. So you're saying from the edge of this, I need 15 feet? To be out here?
From all edges of the pool, you need to be at least 25 feet from your property line, and
Right.
from all edges of your terrace or patio area, you need to be at least 15 feet from the property line.
So
Okay,
the answer to your question was yes.
No.
Yeah.
okay, but,
I'm sorry,
But it's not just at that one point. It
Right.
has to be all along the property line, so there's likely a different adjustment to be made.
right, but I think you were pointing to the worst, the farthest ingress to the new property.
It may be the same one.
Right. Michelle, if the
Okay, I mean,
applicant's professional has questions, may they contact you?
Yes.
So Michelle can give you her contact information. If he has questions about exactly what's required, we can assist you in making sure you meet the setbacks
Okay.
if you revise it.
And now if I need to get a variance to, which is basically what we did here, knowing that we would need a variance for the 5 feet,
I think what the planning board is asking you to do is just take a look and see if there's
See if
a
there's
more
any way to maneuver it
optimal, a
and-
more optimal lot line realignment. And if there
Okay.
isn't, then we'll have to discuss that when
Okay.
you come back.
Fair
Yeah, I
enough.
think we should know specifically what setbacks, or what impact it would be to your neighbor
Right.
in doing anything more than you're suggesting here.
Correct.
We need to know what the problems it creates on his side.
okay. Yeah, I mean, he was involved in this, so we discussed it, and try to just make it even Steven, and nothing would happen to his property, which is what we did on this, but,
You know what I'm saying? To the
we'll
extent
take
that
another look at it.
Yeah, to the extent that you cannot meet all setbacks,
Right.
we would want to understand what the impact is on him to go any farther, such that we can
Gotcha.
justify your,
Okay.
well, it's not our
Yeah.
purview for the variances, but,
And
No,
then
that
I
would be
think the rest
zoning.
goes to the zoning board, right?
okay, so then,
Right, the planning board's only looking at the lot line realignment.
So-
Right.
okay.
Right,
All right, so I withdraw that.
Okay.
That's the zoning board's discussion point.
okay.
Yep.
I had a comment, and I apologize if this is, there was 2 garages? Or did I misread them?
No, originally, I think they had made the discovery that the pool was not in compliance with the lot line because he had proposed to put a garage on, and therefore, that's when they noticed that the pool was
Okay.
Yeah,
not
they
in the right
did, I
location.
guess, a satellite picture, and then, I didn't even realize it was over that much, So, obviously that backed everything off, and then we're going to try to straighten all of this out, and then we'll move
Okay.
forward with what we're looking to do, so.
How old is the house?
I built it back in '96, so, I've added to it a couple of times since, but, that was when I built the base house, yes.
Okay.
So, we've been there a while.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. When you have the drawings and you've had a conversation with your
Yeah, I'll
professional,
speak,
just let
I'll
us
speak
know.
to my
We'll put you
engineer,
back
he
on.
can reach out to you, and if you got a card or something, I can take.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is Alpine Industries amended site plan on Route 82.
Now that the board has been warmed up,
It's early.
Nice to see you, Mike.
You too. See? I will tell you, if any Brian going on vacation,
You can do that.
Good evening. As Michelle's getting that up, I'm here tonight for actually the first time formally before this board relative to an amended site plan for Alpine Industries. With me tonight is Mr. Tommy DeMasi, who is the owner of Alpine Industries. Tommy actually is a resident of the town for the last 8 years or so, and lives in very close proximity to the site. And it's relevant only because that was the reason, one of the reasons why he purchased it. He actually lives right down 82, probably 4 doors down to the south. This site is located across from Francis Drive on Route 82 on the north end of town. It's a 1.6 acre parcel. For those of you that have been around may remember this is Riggio's Garden Center. It then a number of years ago went from Riggio's, was still owned by Tony Riggio, and went to John Deere Landscapes. I don't believe John Deere actually formally came before this board relative to a modified or amended site plan. There was a determination made downstairs that it was fairly close to what was there before, so they continued operation. They vacated the space approximately, I want to say, 6 months ago, plus or minus, and ensuingly, it was purchased by Mr. DeMasi. What we're here for largely tonight is in addition to the existing building that resides on site, the intent is to actually is to construct another building.
Okay.
So I think that's important too, because in fact, while we may be adding a small different component use to this site as compared to what's been there, a large portion of this use is proposed to remain a garden center, okay? So,
You want the pointer? Brendan, do you have the project, the pointer?
I think it,
oh, it's right here. You want me to just zoom that out?
I thought it was. You
I'm
want
sorry,
the
Mike.
job?
The new building, is that as part of the garden center? As you said, the majority of it will remain garden center. Is it, what is this new building for?
Wait till he's back in front of the mic for us, if you don't mind.
Mr. DeMasi actually owns a construction business, which is actually located down in Westchester. So a portion of the component of this was to actually be able to use this existing site for the purposes of his business, a portion of it. He's not relocating his business, but a portion of it will be used to supplement it because it's close to home. The retail component, there's the way we worked out the calculations relative to parking and items such as that, is there's a retail component of this which will include both buildings, and I'll take you through what the idea of that is. Effectively, you would come in the main access drive, and on the left there would be, let's call it building number 2. An area where someone could come in and maybe there was some display inside and so forth relative to, again, things you'd find at a nursery, garden center. If you were purchasing topsoil or stone, maybe you would be given a ticket, and then what you would do is you would walk over to the other building where there would be a window where you would provide a ticket, and then they would fill your truck, or So that, in terms of the operations, that's the idea of it. The building number 2 is really to be dedicated for the retail and the nursery use, garden center use, and then approximately half of the existing building will be used for the nursery garden center use as well, with the other half being for his construction business. We did provide some parking calculations based upon the size of the buildings. I think probably next step is to provide some internal layouts so you can see those spaces broken out. We've been through that before.
Okay.
So that way you know exactly what portions are being dedicated to what, so that plays into the whole parking to make sure it's adequate.
And did you give us hours of operation for both sides of the business?
I did not, but I did speak to Mr. DeMasi. That did come up in one of the comment letters. Ultimately, optimally, he would like the nursery use to be a 7-day-a-week type of operation, 7:30 a.m., 5 to p.m. Okay. Now, this is located in an I-2 zone.
Okay.
And what happens is we, it is a very small section of industrial zone that resides there effectively along both sides of Ryan Drive. This is, looking at Ryan Drive to the north, this is the northernmost parcel. The parcel immediately to the north of us is residential, okay, that comes in. So I think certainly being, sensitive to that, some of the issues regarding screening and so forth will, I think what will probably help as a next iteration of this is to actually kind of show where those homes are, so where that house is on the north side, so that way we have like a physical distance, so we know where those things, where that resides.
Do we have a lighting plan from you? Because that's the other thing, depending on the hours of operation, we want to see what the light...
We don't have a lighting plan because what happens is we're not proposing any new lighting with the exception of replacing the fixtures on the building, okay? And building-mounted lighting only. So when I mean no lighting, I don't mean any freestanding lighting, things like that. It will actually be on the building. I will provide you a lighting plan to detail the extent of that lighting, but it's only proposed to be on the building.
On the existing building and not on the new
On
building?
existing and proposed building,
Okay.
yes.
But Michelle, wouldn't we want to understand if there's lights in the parking lot right now? I don't, I mean,
Yeah, I
it's a site plan review.
Right,
We
so
need
I
to
think
see-
you're saying that you're not proposing anything currently in the parking lot, but
So are you saying you
wanted-
have no lights there now, or
Yeah,
that there's
there-
lights but you're not changing them?
There are absolutely there are existing building-mounted lights on the existing building, okay? The proposal is to just change out those fixtures with new fixtures, okay? And then the new building will also have some building-mounted lighting fixtures
Okay.
to complement the new fixtures that are going on the existing building.
And that's the only lighting right now on the site? External lighting, I should say. No parking lot lights, no pole lights, no, okay. Okay.
There's a sign on when it works, and lights in it, come on the road, but I'm not going to use that anyway.
So you have a lighted sign, but no other lights other than the building-mounted lights. I'm only repeating what you're saying because you don't have a mic in front of you, sir, so I just want to make
Yeah, I
sure.
don't know if the sign works.
Okay.
I won't use it, just that we're changing lighting in the building.
There is an existing
Okay.
freestanding sign, which is actually still detailed on the plan, which
Okay.
I believe was internally lit.
Okay.
But the hours of operation, you were saying, I mean, it's construction, so it's not going to be like evening retail, right? I mean, you're not going to have, it's not going to be lit up trying to attract people into the site after dark, is it?
I think, in terms of the perception of what we're proposing here, I don't want you to make you think that it's like a Home Depot or something along that line.
Right.
This is only him. As part of the economics of it as well, part of this, one of the reasons why he's proposing this to sustain, the use of the site, but this is not something where we're trying to attract people coming off the road, and an exorbitant lighting plan would be part of that.
Okay.
If anybody's been by the site, you'll see, because we'll talk about the buffering, you can't see, other than the entrance, you can't really see much what's going on there. We were involved in the original Riggio's approval, and in fact, the entire property is lined around its perimeter with large, significant evergreen trees. It's not proposed to remove those.
Okay.
And in fact, those were ones that whether they died, and so forth, we actually show those being replaced.
I was going to ask that because I saw you had a different shading on some of the trees than others. Those are the replacement
To
trees?
fill those in.
Okay. So and I don't know if it's still showing that way on the plan. Are there, you have bins on the site that will contain some materials, and then it looked like you had piles in other areas that didn't have bins, but some of the, I just wasn't sure on the orientation and how you're going to access them, whether they're being accessed through the parking lot or whether you're driving around the bins to get to them.
Yeah, I think that was one of the items that came up in one of the comment letters in terms of physically how you get access. We show, so these in this partial plan here, they carry up, but these are bins that we propose, okay? And then I think the question came up, we actually have different stone stockpiles on the back side here, stone dust,
And up in the
item
front
4,
too,
things like
right?
that. Yeah, these are additional stockpiles as well here.
Okay.
So the comment is relevant, it makes sense. How do we get to these particular piles here when we have bins in the front? So the idea is to potentially take these and relocate these on the back side here. We have some
Okay.
room on the back side here. So we wouldn't have those stockpiles there, to be able to, gain a little bit better access to those piles, okay? I guess we should talk about display area. And that, I show 2 areas here for display.
Okay.
That was part of the original Riggio site plan. Those areas would be designated for plants, trees, and things that you would find in the typical nursery. It's a fairly significant area, and we'd like to implement it. One of the things, we actually had submitted this site plan and gotten approval on it with Riggio, with the new building further closer to the road. Since then, the zoning has changed. So what happens is we got the hey, listen, you don't meet zoning, so fix it.
I'm
So that's,
sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
this building here is actually showing up in this location here. We had a lesser setback back when. We have a newer setback now, because of zoning change. So we had to take this building and actually move it, shift it further to the rear so we could avoid any variances and things such as that.
So the stock that you're showing there, is that on gravel? Is that on grass? What?
The intent that this would be on gravel, a gravel
gravel,
area.
okay.
And I think part of it is too, for clarification, is that some of the questions that were brought up by the consultants, just to clearly delineate those areas of pavement, of grass, of this. So
Okay.
it's very clear, so when the inspector's going out there, he knows what to look for, and that, in fact, it all works. Certainly, the intent was not to provide those on grassed area, because that doesn't work in April.
Okay.
So I just have a question, just a clarification. When you're talking about the outdoor display area, are you talking about the area next to the 4 spaces here? That was the one that was previously approved and had outdoor display?
This area here was, a lot of these are carryovers from the original plan. This is an area where we would show, let's say block, pavers, things such as that, which, again, people use. The outdoor, the plantings and things such as that were proposed for these particular areas in here.
Okay. And then what about the 2 areas right on either side of the driveway? What was that supposed to be, these material display areas?
These here areas here.
Yes.
Those currently exist. They were not installed as part of the Riggio site plan, but they appeared as part of the, when John Deere occupied the site. They're effectively just, again, they're kind of unilock walls, very small, foot off the ground, different colors, kind of showing, I guess, dressing up the site and kind of maybe, again, some display.
They're existing.
Are you intending
they're-
to leave them there?
That was the intent.
Yeah, I mean, if we could.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mike, you alluded to trees and stuff in the front. Is that nursery stock, or are they going to be planted?
Well, the idea was to be nursery stock, it wouldn't be
Okay.
planted. This is, this area is, and I only make the comment relative to the soil. The soil here is it's all run bank, and it's great for sewage, and it's great for water leaching through the ground and making its way down to the groundwater, as we know what goes on in the back. But in terms of actually having a good soil by which to plant, it doesn't work there. It's not good for that. So the idea would just be for, walled up trees and things like that people would come and pick up and it would restock.
Okay.
You're showing fencing around the entire site?
Existing.
Existing fence?
Yep.
No changes to the fence?
Wasn't proposed.
Okay. Bear with me, I'm just reading through some notes. What kind of equipment are you going to have at the site? I'm assuming you have to have something to move some of this stuff around, but
Right.
do you also have landscaping trucks and things like that that'll be at the site?
We have two landscape trucks, and forklifts and articulating over.
Two landscape, sorry.
And it's just because of the microphone. So 2 landscape trucks,
A small articulating loader,
a loader,
and a forklift.
and a forklift.
Okay,
So what we can do is we'll make sure we specify those on the plan, so
okay.
it's clear.
And because you're next to residences, we'll probably ask, there's some different alarms that can be used rather than the loud backup alarms that would need to be installed on the equipment, just so, again, depending on your hours of operation, that way you're not disturbing nearby residents.
By the way, do you sell salt?
I wasn't gonna, but, probably bad.
Okay,
Bags, okay.
okay. Any other material storage other than typical landscaping material or packaged items?
The package stuff is gonna keep inside, that's,
Okay,
I would keep inside the building, I think the building with no inside storage.
okay,
So anything that's packaged definitely stay inside.
okay. You tending to use this site for any other type of storage, anything from, say, like existing sites or something like that? Is there going to be any kind of storage or anything like that on site that's outside of the business
No, no,
operation? Okay. Any fuel storage or anything like that? Okay. And then, Mike, have you been to the health department yet, or is is that to come?
Yeah, actually, when we had detailed the building in the front, when we had received our previous approval, we had gotten health department approval.
Okay,
When we took the building and we shifted it to the rear, we were effectively in the area where the previous septic was approved. So we have to go back to them and re-up that.
okay.
Again, it's minimal use, and we don't anticipate any issues, but we're going to have to just get that shift approved from them
And what are you proposing?
in terms of,
I have a note that you're sharing a well, but you're going to separate septic. Is that still the case, or are you going to have 2 wells, one for each building?
it's one well. We plan on implementing the existing well for both buildings, and then, right, there's 2 separate sewage disposal areas.
Okay.
Is this building even going to be heated? I mean, is there going to be office space in it too? Or is it just storage?
No, I don't keep it though.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I have a camera and that's
So you'll have an employee there manning the counter? Okay.
Part of that, too, because that was a question that came up during some of the review letters. In terms of maximum amount of employees here at any one given time, 5,
Okay,
okay? And we'll detail that.
that's fine. Okay. And Mike, you're going to do a parking calculation, or we have to confirm the parking calculation? Okay.
I just wanted him to explain the operation so we understood the employee number and everything, so we could get a better understanding of what he might
Okay.
need for parking.
Right, we did provide a parking calculation, but it was a function of the breakdown of the uses of the buildings. So as mentioned, we'll provide for a, schematic,
Yeah.
interior layout, so it's just clear.
It seems like you've got space here if you needed more parking, but, if you want to leave areas that are gravel, we can always land bank if you think that it's requiring more parking than you need.
I remember when, not so much with John Deere, it was a minimal use site. It really catered more to contractors.
Right.
So in the morning, they'd come in and go out, and I actually live fairly close to the site, so I'm familiar with the operations. I think there was certainly much more activity there when Riggio's was there, but I never remember being a parking issue out there.
Right.
So I don't think that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying if your parking calculation says add a lot more parking, there may be a reason to propose it as
Right
land
now,
banked
we're-
or leave it gravel. And
Right now, we ran it at 21 spaces required. We detailed 21 spaces required. I'll break it down for you so it's
Okay.
clear, but, if we needed to add a few, bank them, whatever, that's fine.
Okay. Brendan, anything else with the site circulation or the traffic, the entrance onto 82?
A couple of comments. One, the existing display areas in the front, one of them is shown within the highway boundary for 82. I think in your letter, Mike, you indicated that you were going to reach out to the DOT. I did notice when I drove by there this evening on the way here that it's just basically gravel on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you're listing it as a display area, but maybe that might be something you want to just reconsider to not show.
Well, what I did was I met with Rock
Rock.
out there on the 3rd of September and brought up the issue, and he, effectively said the same, what display? I think at one point there were different, in order to display the stone, there was a red stone and there was a gold stone and a white stone, so it's very small, again, behind the curb. At the end of the day, it's not something that he needs, so we'll modify that
Okay.
on the plan.
Yeah, 'cause then there's just no coordination issue with the DOT, so I think that
Okay.
would simplify that. Building 2, the proposed building, it does show a 12-foot overhead garage door. And I think we were just inquiring about how is that for like a forklift to access that area or actually a vehicle to access that area?
I think, I'm just going to shift really quick. I know it's not real easy to see, maybe. That, while we call that the front, that's actually the rear of that overhead door on the back side there. And again, there's going to be a part of this in terms of the retail component. The idea was really just to get, again, bag materials in there, things such as that. It's not, I think you would bring up a good point relative, here is where the overhead door resides, and we have kind of a constrained spot in here by which to get a vehicle, even a forklift in. So we'll take a look at that. I may end up just bumping this out a little bit and to provide a little bit more ease so it's not so pinched in there. But that's something we'll certainly take a look at, so.
Okay.
Okay. Now that you explained that both buildings will have a retail component, when I looked at it, I thought maybe building number 2 was going to be the retail spot because of the sidewalk, and I was relating that to the proximity of the handicap space that was shown, that I thought it might be better suited to be along the new sidewalk that you're proposing to building 2, but...
There's our handicap spot.
Right.
And, yeah, we have the sidewalk in here just to facilitate. That's up to you. I mean, we can certainly, wherever you think it's more convenient. I think initially the way the function of the site is such, and probably a narrative will clarify it, but again, initially coming in here first, and then going over to the other location, I think this will probably be our primary area for people to park, because they'll ultimately park here and then work their way into this location here.
Okay. It wasn't clear to us if the access drive and then where the new sidewalk area, is there going to be curbing installed there?
Here's the access drive.
Right, so is there going to be curbing along that edge?
It wasn't proposed. It's kind of existing.
Okay, how about in front of the concrete sidewalk? Is there going to be curbing so that the parking spaces don't run over the sidewalk? Or parking blocks?
Well, yeah, I mean, we wanted to keep that asphalt, so in order to prevent, overhang vehicles, I think, we weren't planning on curbing, but we can certainly provide for bumper blocks.
Blocks are fine.
Yeah. I think part of it is this kind of a rural site, so I don't want to get wacky other than the entrance, which is already curbed, but in terms of putting curbing up and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think a couple parking blocks would work fine there.
We just don't want the sidewalk blocked by a car.
Makes sense.
Then, actually, that little area between the access driveway and the block storage area, it's delineated like a little channelized island, but I don't really think it exists when I looked at an aerial on Google. Like, it's just all asphalt there, I believe.
Okay, that could be. We'll check it.
That's why I was questioning whether it was like curbing was going to go in there to define that. But if it's not going to be curbing, I don't know if you're going to paint it that way or...
Yeah, I don't know, unless we feel there's a need for it relative to circulation, I think maybe we'll just carry this right on through. We have this, I mean, maybe there should be some kind of a barrier between the display and the access aisle, makes sense. So...
Sometimes they just use like fencing that's on a stand or something like that.
Yeah, we'll clarify it. That was probably the reason for it, just to get travel vehicles away from that little spot.
And then my last comment, the existing overhang.
Yes.
It looks like it overhangs into the access driveway. I don't believe that it's actually drawn correctly, or something's goofy there, because I looked at a picture on Google again.
On the existing building, you mean, not on the...
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just looks like the overhang is back from the edge of the existing driveway. So this might have been a site plan that was drawn up, but what's actually built out there, I think, might be something different.
Okay.
It doesn't look like the overhang comes into the access driveway, is what I'm getting at.
And I'll provide this, I'll show you quick, and then I'll provide it to the board, but see that? That's kind of what we got.
Right, but see how this is coming into the driveway? I think it's back here. I just looked at a street shot that went this way, and it doesn't look like it's on the, unless these are widened out sort of artificially, I don't know.
Mike, Brendan, I think John has a picture of it right here.
Oh, look, yeah, right. It looks set back, right? It looks completely set back from the access drive. Here, look at that, Mike, the picture on his phone. It goes in front of the overhang.
I didn't understand what you were showing me when you...
Because, it looks like the overhang is going to obstruct the access driveway is what I'm getting at, but I don't think that's the case at all. It's not the case.
No, it's not.
It's just drawn that way.
It's drawn that way, but it's not.
Right.
On the new plan,
Okay.
We'll verify that, so there's no, it sounds to me like it's fine, it's just got to make sure it's shown accurately on the drawing. But as part of this, what we're proposing is we are proposing on leaving that, not leaving it, but removing it and rebuilding it.
Okay.
And what's shown on here is actually what's proposed,
Okay.
which is a significant...
You'll have to go to the ARB when you
dress
get a
up.
little bit closer to your...
And then I think Joe and I both have a common
Final.
comment relating to the stockpiles and just how access for loading and unloading to those stockpiles is going to be proposed, and I think you're going to address that. So.
Good? Is that right? I think, yeah, let's make it more functional relative to making that work, so it's a little less complicated. So.
And just to clarify, Mike, these two piles over here where there was the topsoil screening area originally proposed, they're going away, so there'll be room up here for other piles,
We're going to
right?
consolidate,
Okay.
and what happens is, again, in
You're not
talking
doing
to...
screening on site,
No,
correct?
we already
'Cause
talked,
you're
he
not-
already has a
okay.
note saying they're not, but he just,
Okay.
this was just not removed.
Yeah, no, we kind of got the understanding that that's not something that we're going to deal with. And, yeah, one of the things we may look at here is we have a certain amount of bins that we're showing. Again, they're proposed to be mafia block type things, and we'll detail that. But in lieu of stockpiles, we may show 1 or 2 additional bins just to clean things up a little bit. You know what I mean? So that'll be on our next iteration.
Okay,
That's all my comments.
thanks, Brendan. Michelle, anything additional for you?
No, I had spoke with Mike on the phone and asked him to talk to my comments, and he spoke to
Okay.
pretty much all of them tonight, so.
Thank you. Joe, how about you?
I think Mike's already touched on a few of my comments, and Brendan, as far as the organization of the site and how the staging and stockpile areas
Okay.
are going to be functional. So that'll be cleared up on the next submittal. There is some stockpiling shown kind of close to the proposed septic area that should be moved away. And,
Agreed.
the stormwater runoff, and he's got some information on here about existing, looks like dry wells and a stormwater storage area toward the rear. He's already mentioned the site's got very good soils, and he's really only increasing a small amount of impervious, so we don't expect there'll be a big change, but if there's anything he could provide, maybe the prior drainage report or something supplemental.
I think as part of the original, we did do that. It's a minor increase, in obviously the impervious, but we'll get the old report, and we'll look at the potential increase, and we'll mitigate it.
Okay.
The site's sponge.
What's that?
The site's a sponge.
Doesn't hold water.
Yeah.
We do have a comment about the site is close to the Hopewell Precision site, but it kind of looks like it's off to the side of where that is. I don't know if that well's had any testing done on it or been any part of that program that EPA had.
I had the reverse speed test on the water quite well. Actually, I live in the street too, so I had.
All right.
Mike, I'm sorry, can you just reiterate that, because I couldn't hear what was...
Prior to purchase, the well was tested relative
Okay.
to a number of compounds in addition to the compounds that are of concern
So the
out there
extended
regarding
testing.
the Superfund. Yeah.
Okay.
Just, the site, the Superfund site sits back in this location here. Ryan Drive comes up. The plume, effectively, if you take a look at an EPA, it kind of runs this way. So it actually doesn't run toward the site, it kind of follows the creek in that direction. So,
Okay.
long story short, he's got a clean bill of health. Well, I'm sure the issue will come up when we deal with the health department.
Okay.
We have the background testing, so. But
Okay.
he was aware of it when he purchased it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from board members?
No, but it's great to see a business expanding in town, so thank you.
Mike, any other questions for us?
No.
So you have a few things you're going to change around, you'll resubmit?
Yeah, I think it's nothing that's not doable, and we can kind of clean things up, get it a little
Okay.
closer, and then we can move to the next step type stuff.
Okay.
So, all right?
All right, sounds good.
Good seeing you folks.
Likewise.
Although we've grown fond of Brian.
Well, you have. Really, maybe I should start coming more often.
All right. Hey, before we wrap up tonight, guys, I'd like to just add one more small item to the agenda. The Ortho Associates plan on Route 52 is ready to be signed. We have a letter from the applicant requesting a 30-day extension of their approval in order to facilitate that. The approval expired since our last meeting. So could I have a motion for a 30-day extension on Ortho Associates?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. The motion carries. Thanks, guys. Anything else for the agenda tonight? Okay, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Have a good evening.
Thank you.